You're listening to Being Built. I'm the host, Aaron Davis, and the founder of Reliant Search Group. I want to give a little shout out to my important partners, Technology First. These guys are fantastic. And not just because they paid me to say so, I actually pay them to be part of their group. Their programming, their conferences, the Taste of IT is a great one. They have a cybersecurity conference, and they have peer group meetings every month that focus on various subjects. They do a really good job of programming and keeping the Dayton community educated and connected. So thanks Technology First for being a partner. Appreciate you guys. I'm here with Jon Salisbury. Did I pronounce your last name right?
That's right.
All right, cool. Jon is the founder of insert name. There's like 10 companies, right? You're a busy man.
I've been busy. I guess now I get to look at all that kind of mess that we've created and try to keep it organized. Yeah.
I know Cincinnati AI Week was part of your effort, or you put something into that.
Yep.
Nexigen is a firm that you've been running for a long time, or had some leadership responsibility there. Still.
Yeah, we have. The quick way to say it is we've had something like 17 companies co-founded.
Okay.
Something like 6 failures.
Okay.
2 exits and like 9 active companies right now.
Good. That's a great resume.
Around 250 people.
I was at Startup Week down in Cincy. Mm-hmm. Somebody on the panel referenced their failures, and I just thought it was really fun. The idea of like counting your failures and referencing those as a badge. You know, I was in the Army at one point, and we'd get little banners on our uniform, right? And it's like you'd get a little star or something added to that if you've got a second one or a third one or whatever. And you're like, six failures. I learned some things, I promise, right?
Oh my goodness. My first one, you probably know it, was Cornerstone Cafe and Bakehouse off of Union Center Boulevard exit.
Okay.
I was 19 years old and started that with my old volleyball coach.
Interesting.
I left high school and tried to be a professional volleyball player.
Okay.
In sand.
Really?
Out of Cincinnati, yes, which is weird. And then when I came back...
You still play?
I can't jump anymore, and when you used to be able to jump and hit a ball and make it bounce really high, and then you can't anymore,
it's just not as fun.
It's not as fun.
I feel you, man.
But I love the sport, and I do Ironman stuff nowadays.
Okay.
But the that first one was really tough. We had one restaurant which was crushed, and then we ended up having like 3 or 4 more. I sort of backed out of it. I didn't want to make sandwiches for a living. I learned pretty early.
Yeah.
But I saw that. I learned a lot about business through that experience. So, 19 years old and like trying something.
Yeah.
And did not have VC and those kind of things. So I think that's a totally different experience than what you get today. Like you referenced Startup Week. Completely different today than it was back then. I don't know if it's better or not. I actually, from my personal experience, it's different. I don't know better. You theoretically, if you know the system well, I think you can play that game and take advantage of it and really jump.
When you say better, you're talking about venture-backed kind of startups versus a service business or a cash business.
They say you need venture back for other things outside of service and so forth, like you kind of like manufacturing and so forth, or we have to buy these machines. To a degree, you might need it for certain areas. There's traditional financing you can get with, or there's different types of vehicles. I think I heard the other day there's over 24 million millionaires in the United States. That's like almost 10% of the population is a millionaire. So there's excess capital running everywhere. A lot of that's vacuumed like towards the top as a pyramid.
Yeah.
But that's the people at the top are really like trying to protect their wealth. So I think they like spread it out considerably, trying to activate it so that they're capturing any potential risers that are coming up.
Interesting.
Yep.
I've never. So I'm 2 failures deep.
Are you?
Yeah, always in the services business, though. I've never tried to build a product. Actually, that's not true. The first iteration of Reliant Search Group was Reckless Tech. It was an attempt to build a marketplace.
Was it really?
Yeah, and there's other people tinkering with it now. There's a couple in Cincinnati, actually. There's 2 different players in Cincinnati doing something in a similar model.
Who are they?
Man, one of them's name is John, actually. I can't think of his last name. I'll connect you with him afterward. But the problem I ran into, essentially what I was trying to do was have tech talent, essentially make them the connectors and pay them to be the connectors. And I ratcheted the money up and down, and I was using my money, so I didn't have enough to really play deep. on the mechanics of it, but I just couldn't get him to engage or care. And I think my theory about it, and I don't want to make the show about that, but my theory about it is that there was not enough it wasn't enough visibility into the impact for them. Like, it's different with your own employer making referrals to Steve, your boss that you work for. Like, I can advocate for that because I know what kind of leader he is, but doing it at mass is really difficult because you don't have a connection. So I really think that's what it comes down to.
Have you played in the channel at all? Or
the channel? I don't know what you mean by that.
There's different ways that I've seen this go, but there are groups out of Chicago or out of Michigan. We work with a group called GTS.
Okay.
There's a group called Telaris. Like, I think they're out of Salt Lake City. They have like Avant out of Chicago, and then Bridgepoint out of California.
Okay.
They just have large networks of salespeople, and then those salespeople hold relationships. Then they have a large network of suppliers.
I see.
And then they just facilitate conferences, which no customers attend.
I see.
It's a dating site. It's more like eHarmony than anything else between those groups. So customers interface with relationship, and then providers are then sit behind it, and then there's a whole lot of middleman activity occurring, which is interesting to play in. I've seen that. I saw that before it existed. And then now, where it's now, many multi-billion-dollar industries exist there.
Kind of what I was trying to do was kill the middleman and get tech people talking to tech people and doing the talent connection, as opposed to recruiters who are always kind of we're always struggling to understand what the employer needs, what the candidate does. That's an ongoing. We abandoned it because it didn't work, and just leaned into getting good at being curious about things you don't know.
You optimize towards where the water's flowing.
Working.
Where the water's flowing. Like the water's flowing, and you're like, okay, I think you can turn off faucet over here. And that's what I would say is like your learning points. Like your try. Like, this makes more sense, but a lot of times the water just won't flow that way.
That's right.
And you're like, okay.
I tried hard to force it, man.
You're creating dams. You're like creating dams.
You know what's funny is you mentioned the water flowing and creating dams. I read a book, because I know you're into AI. I read a book on, it was a psychology book, and it talked about the difficulty of changing mindsets, and how when you think of the analogy of an idea or a conviction or a habit, trying to reroute water, the only way to do it is to dig a deeper river. So you just have to dig deeper.
Yeah.
You can't just build walls and whatever, just make it flow that way. Right?
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
The other one I heard is like similar is, do you ski?
I have.
So you get
Poorly.
you get to a big mountain, and there's just tons of fresh powder. And as you ski throughout the day, these natural grooves will just start to appear. No one's planning this.
Right.
They just appear. And people will naturally gravitate towards them, almost like weights in an AI model. It's almost like a neural net. And at the end of the day, you'll have these deep tranches where it's almost impossible not to ski the route that the person did before you.
Same thing in Italy, in Rome.
Yes.
The old carts, the original horse carriages that they would pull,
Yeah.
literally in the dirt and in the brick. There's ruts that you just had to continue to build them that wide.
Yes.
If your carriages were not built that wide, you couldn't run the roads. Right?
So neural nets are very similar,
Okay.
or AI networks are very similar. And it's a weight structure, basically. You could almost think of it, I call it topological. But if you lay a new, some people call it deeper, but you go underneath. Another way you could look at it is a new fresh snowfall. So that I would call that like a new perspective, and where the whole mountain opens up to you again. And that's some people say you got to pull, you got to go underneath to get the root. Some people say you can see it above. There's like any way that activates that person to make a change towards what I would call like kumbaya, or like optimal flourishment for the community. To me would be like awesome. I'm just happy with that.
Can you, and we'll cut this if you can't, because I don't want to put you on the spot, but embarrass you, but can you, what is a neural network? Like I kind of get it, but I don't get it.
Okay, so I'll explain a couple of different ways. AI is multiple things.
Okay.
So there's multiple types of AI, and they work differently, and they're all networks. And you know how a social network works. So very similar to that. So I'll give you one example, and this is what we would call a deep learning network.
Okay.
This is pretty easy. Well, this is, in my opinion, an easier way to explain it.
Okay.
So think of pizza towers. So you have like, let's say pizzas lined up on top of each other, but we're going to say there's 10,000.
Okay.
Okay. Now, when we're bringing information into that deep learning tower system, we're learning more about it as you go up the tower, whatever information we're bringing in. So let's say we have a number 4 that we want to know, or let's say we want to know all of the letters or numbers that exist. So all the numbers and then all the letters. And we basically create a bunch of data. Then that data we then feed into the system. It gets trained on it, like compressed together in this network that has relations to it. So parameters have connections to other relations, to other parameters. And the strength of those parameters would be the weights. So like your close friends.
How likely are you to call on that point of reference?
That's correct. Based on historical, how many times has it been in the training data set? Okay. So in a social network,
doesn't that inhibit, like, wouldn't that, the function of that kind of like habitual learning or learning habits inhibit the ability to create or to be creative?
Yeah, it does. And the
sorry for the detour. I'm
you're
still on the pizza tower.
Absolutely. Okay. Kind of leaning back towards pizza. This is kind of the initiation of like bringing it in, and the diversity of the data, the amount of data that you have that kind of like supports the final outcome you're looking for is good. And then orienting those weights so that they're like optimized for the thing you're trying to achieve. So so in the example where you have like layer 1 in a deep learning network, which I would consider what I would call brute force. Okay. Layer 1, you're taking in the data and you might look at the data and say, okay, let's say it's a number 4. Okay. You're trying to identify 4. And you look at the first layer and you're like, hey, there's 3 black pixels. That's all layer 1's doing. 3 black pixels exist on the screen. Okay. The next layer, because number 4, you got to think how many different ways a human can write the number 4. Okay. Thousands. Sure. Millions of ways, right? It's been written.
It could be dots. It could be lines. It could be whatever pizza.
But they're trying to try to piece it together, kind of like they're saying, okay, it's just made of pixels, so we're just gonna say there's three black pixels. Okay. Then they go to the next layer. Now they transfer that information to the next layer via what's called backpropagation. Okay. Which allows it to kind of like say, hey, next layer, we already know there's 3 pixels that are black. Next layer is going to say, hey, there's 27 pixels that are black. Okay. It doesn't tell you where or anything like that. Next layer is going to say, hey, there's 27 pixels that are black. There's like 4 orange pixels. Okay. And then it keeps going and going. Eventually it's like there's like a curve here. There's a line here. There's a line there. Okay. And then it's looking at its examples of 4s. It's trying to trap back, right? So you get to layer 10,000. It's like, that's the number 4.
I see.
Does that make sense?
That's much meta. It's that much.
Trillions of calculations happening. It's like so
just
fast.
To recognize an image that represents 4.
That's correct. And then if you have like orange pixels in the number 4, and the model has also been trained on giraffes, yeah, it could theoretically mistake that 4 for a giraffe.
Oh, interesting. So you just made sense of hallucinations for me, because there's all kinds of things that share the first 10,000 layers or whatever.
That's correct. Wow. So you end up with a topological problem.
Dude, we can just cut right now. This is worth it to me.
Is that good? Yeah. Now that's one kind of AI, deep learning, which is what Sam Altman and Elon are betting on. Okay. That's where hallucinations are. It's not trustworthy. Yeah. That is not trustworthy AI. You do not want it. Honestly, I would say I would not want a robot in my house. Yeah. Because the only way to test that is because you can't understand what's occurring. It's too complex. On the backside, you have to run simulations, millions of permutations of this running in different ways to check and see where the mistakes are, where it's finding the giraffe on accident. Okay. And that's where you get the deviousness, where it's like actually doing something incorrectly and you think it is. So you have to really brute force this thing on the back end, so more CPU. Now, I specialize in what's called genetic fuzzy algorithms. Okay, I'm not familiar with that. What is it? Genetic fuzzy is what you would use to land, like a plane takes off and lands. Okay. You're going to use like extremely high precision, trustworthy applications that you can get 99.9999% of accuracy. And they're called causal models. So like in pool, if I shoot a pool ball towards many others and it hits those pool bottles, there's a cause and effect. It hits those pool bottles and they pull balls and they move in a certain direction based on the trajectory that you hit it with, the mass that you had, the weight that you had. So in genetic,
account for the dust on the felt and everything, right?
That's correct, everything, right? So those all become signals, and as they converge, you can get to simulation. You can see it's like pretty much close to 100% accuracy in a small distribution size.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So you just have much more precision.
It's a volume you can handle because you're narrowing the scope of your objective there.
But you're getting that's how you build chess engine. Well, you can build chess engines.
Don't crash, right?
This way, but yeah, you can do all sorts of things. They're trying to say we can do this generally, and that is right now hype, myth, potential unicorns exist sort of thing. But they say it with like extreme confidence and so much confidence, like 10.
Is that a human hallucination or what?
I think it's intentional because
really?
you're trying to grow the business and you're saying there's belief there. It's more like belief.
So you just changed subjects on me. Can I detour?
Go for it.
I saw a post you put on social media recently, and it said something about optimism or something. And I don't mean to be, but I can be really skeptical, even bordering on cynical sometimes. And I'm pretty intentional about trying not to be negative about people and such. But one thing that really worries me about AI, not everything blowing up, taking over, that kind of thing, but the fact that there's so much benefit in deceit. So like we consider AI deceiving us as a bad thing, generally speaking, but some users could benefit from it effectively deceiving.
Yeah, you can get tons of. I mean,
we can pause, by the way, if you need to go ahead.
No, you're good. I was actually looking up something you brought up, like a skeptical analytic is what I would consider myself. So I'd like to do analysis and be skeptical, and then gather. I would call it perspective scaling. Okay. So looking at something from all angles to give it form, and then truly understand it. That's how I sort of look at things.
Find what you wanted to find.
Oh no, it's sort of. I think I said it kind of the way that I should.
Okay, you found it in your brain.
In my brain, yeah. But the misuse and positive use. So there's a known in cybersecurity, which I mean, so I have a cybersecurity cloud AI research company. We just spent $5 million on an AI research lab.
Yeah, you mentioned
in
that.
Kentucky, which is Governor Bashir announced, gave us a shout out for this.
Wow.
And we also partner with universities, specifically University of Cincinnati, specifically Dr. Kelly Cohen, who runs the AI Bio Lab at UC, which I think is probably the strongest genetic fuzzy AI lab in the world. Maybe one of the top 10 in the world. Yeah, it's phenomenal. Okay.
How fortunate for us in the neighborhood, huh?
They hardly have any GPUs though.
Why? It's cost or what?
There's a crisis in research right now. The amount of compute. So research. Man, I could go all day.
It's wild because we're leaning deep into the data center construction space.
You should.
Like these guys, I mean, there's crazy demand for those talents right now.
So that is,
and we've got a couple customers that are hiring us to help them find talent that can help stand up data centers. It's just so much.
For sure, yeah. It makes so much sense. It's a and the power on those. I mean, I could jump over there too, but there's a problem with Concise. Vantage Group out of Kentucky is very big. Okay. CoreWeave is very big. Cincinnati just had a major transaction no one even knows about. Jack Cassidy, do you remember him from Cincinnati Bell? He was a CEO. No. He invested in a group out of Texas called Cyrus One. Okay. It became one of the largest data center groups in the world out of Cincinnati Bell. Okay. Now, Cyrus One and his assets got packaged up and sold a few times. Okay. I think Macquarie Capital became an owner of quite a bit of those. Macquarie is one of the largest infrastructure funds in the world, something like $1 trillion. Tom Simpson, who was the CIO, CO of Cincinnati Bell, is running a fund out of Macquarie, which also.
Can I just follow you around for a week and fetch your laundry and do tasks for you so I can learn all your connections? And
but Tom Simpson is a brilliant human, one of the smartest people I've met. He's built multiple gigawatt data center facilities, hyperscalers. They just did a $40 billion transaction with Microsoft and NVIDIA. $40 billion.
Yeah, I might need you to introduce us because we're doing a search for somebody that he's probably mentored or somebody that he probably knows.
He knows that whole market very well. Ali Sayed out of Microsoft is one of their primary project engineers. I worked with him at Best Buy in 1999 or 2000. He's running engineering for Microsoft Azure data center build-outs pretty much worldwide. Nice. So these are friends of mine that are in the hyperscale space.
Well, I got to be careful not to be too selfish with this conversation. Let's talk about your research.
So research is problematic. So research has been ran through universities forever, and it's completely benevolent for the most part. It's actually universities are based on prestige.
True.
They're
a brand, right?
It's not monetary.
Right.
So there is a monetary component to activate that, but they want to produce more papers. You don't get paid money for more papers, although papers can generate lots of value.
True.
So for instance, I was at MIT at Imagination in Action, and I met the guy who invented RAG, R-A-G.
Okay.
RAG is now worth probably, that technology that just was given away free in like 2019 is used. That's where you take a document and then you place it outside of the AI, but the AI uses it as a grounding mechanism.
Okay.
That whole technique is trillions of dollars of value.
That somebody just made for free.
He just made it, made it for free, and everybody uses it. He now owns a company Jeff Bezos has put $100 million into.
Okay.
So he's very doing very well out of Palo Alto. We're friends with them. Name of the company is Contextual AI.
Okay.
Great group. Working with large financial institutes and so forth. However, the point of that is that research done when he was doing that was done for the sake of research. He probably was not thinking about a product in that release. Although he's got probably the best one now. Having said that, there's groups that are now trying to take that research functionality, which is I would almost call it like pure exploration for exploration's sake, trying to find something meaningful. So we sort of explore out in like so many directions. Professors are very like, they're not really like orienting you towards something other than what you're looking for. So they're not saying, hey, go do this, the X, Y, and Z. They're saying, what do you find interesting in this space? And then they'll send you article after article after article. You sort of like go to them with ideas, and they're really encouraging you in a positive way to keep exploring and keep pushing. It could be towards a dead end. They're totally fine with that. But they want you to explore.
Dead end meaning there's no capital or financial or career return, but not a dead end in terms of just learning.
Just learning, yes. So that's really, it's learning for learning's sake, which I say is totally fine. Now, there is, though, extreme waste that you would have in that process that occurs. And that's just sort of like as a society. And I think we're kind of saying in the United States right now, we're saying, hey, we don't want to do that anymore. We want to optimize towards a capitalistic function where there's a capital output at the end. So there's more, I guess, direction. And I think that happens under extreme, like, not extreme, or more pressure tank type activity. Like, we need this done. So we're going to shift capital in this way to get that thing done more aggressively, is what I would say. And then you get ideology and all these other things that pop in there. But at this point, universities are getting way less funding in research for exploration. Startups are really getting more, which I find is weird because you really have the same amount of waste occurring.
I was going to say, like, isn't there a ton of wasted startups too, right?
Literally, it's ridiculous.
I mean, you got a bag of garbage and one of them grows and you're winning, right? I mean, that's what it is.
So
right?
you're just saying the rich guy, to a degree, you're just kind of saying the rich guy can decide what's valuable or not better than the university can.
As opposed to the curious kid or the curious professor.
That's correct. So I don't really know if there's much difference. You're just doing research wherever you can. Now the way
maybe the aim is different, John. Like, one, the aim is learning and exploration. The other, the aim is a market.
Yes.
Right.
But is there
the cultural impact is what I'm getting at. Like,
yes.
And I don't know. I'm with you. That's interesting.
Is there meaning in like research for research sake? Is there meaning in just it being capitalistic? That's all ideology, right? I'm like, to me, it's like Plato, Socrates.
It's a value system question, not really a
But when you're automating this process of research, which they're trying to do with AI, you end up spending. There's going to be a ton of waste because you're simulating potentialities in a synthetic way. And as you do that exploration, then you have to like tie that back. Is this actually meaningful? So you have like, they're trying to even make the tie back like a synthetic process as well. That I don't really know. Like at that point, you just get into this like weird loops where you're like, where's value come from? What is value? What's meaningful? And then you're like, okay, now we're in philosophy. Is this actually valuable now that we're, you know what I'm saying? so I have a research lab which focuses on technologies and what I would call TRLs, which are technology readiness levels.
Okay.
So we're trying to get research broad in alignment, safety, and trustworthy computing, which sounds like basic concepts, very, very deep, right? Very deep, like it's down to how like injecting meaning into the model deep.
What kind of meaning?
The signal. So with genetic fuzzy, that's what it's called. It's called injecting meaning into the model. Like neural nets have no idea that the giraffe and 4 are different.
Yeah.
A genetic fuzzy sort of like understands the cause of why it's a 4.
Okay.
So it really knows it. Like there's no like getting by it. It's just going to know the 4. Like you show it any example, it's just going to know. And that's
it's not counting pixels and colors and such. It's got a concept.
It's like a signal convergence is what they call it, through a geometry that you create, and then you run signals through it, you align it, and as it hits the geometry, it actually makes if-then statements. So you're actually programming through geometry, which is, to me, it's like beautiful. Like if they call it cocaine of science. Huh. But
Yep. This is a crazy detour. I'll just wave it off if this is not a smart question. This might be a smart question, or it might be completely dumb. But I take those risks, John. I don't mind being the dumb guy.
I'm the dumb guy all the time. Trust me, no problem.
I got a 4.0 on my grad degree. It was because I was the idiot with my hand up the whole time. Like, what is that?
That's how you learn.
I had no idea, and I proved it. But so I'm looking at this landscape picture behind you. I'm thinking about some primal version of us wandering around in the woods, and as you're talking about the way that an intelligence, the evolutions of an intelligence from this kind of granular, gritty function to something that has meaning, I'm just thinking about the nature of what, we now know it was the early version of human intelligence. And here's my question. This is a long way to it, but it was all driven by an instinct to survive, or some would argue that was driven by an instinct to survive, like to not die was the objective, right? How much? I mean, we can't really leverage that for training a machine, and there's not generations that are trained. You're not having one machine train the next generation. I guess you are doing this. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay. So I'm hitting something with my dumb question here, but the real question is like, how can we leverage an instinct to not die, to get there in a more organic way? Because everything we're doing is kind of, we're looking backward at it and trying to get it to where we're at, but we got here by accident, right?
I don't know, but you get into a lot of like, I'm Buddhist Christian, which is a weird concept anyway. And
yeah, that's a whole nother podcast, but I'm curious.
Yeah. I believe that there's a lot of unity. I believe in the moment and presence, what we're in now, is all that's real. And that moment began whenever, if it began at all, and it moves forward, and that moment is, you can't leave it. You can't go forward. You can't go backwards. We're stuck in it. Survival, to me, I don't even know like what that is to a degree. I have to really like start thinking about future and thinking about past for that to exist. So I'm projecting. So I would say our reward system is more about craving, and that comes from like I look at our bodies as like antennas, our brains as like processors. And we're kind of like cell phones, and there's these energy fields, and you can sort of get feeling and reads off people and subtleties. And I would say like the craving is like this like thing that's like left unfulfilled that we're sort of like moving towards. Now, the ability to keep doing that we attach to as our personality construct builds and our own neural nets builds, and then you would consider that like a more abstract concept called survival. But
it's a collection of cravings, essentially. Yeah, that's right. Because you're not thinking I must survive. You're just hungry.
Yes,
whatever. Right.
Yeah,
you're craving a bite.
Your bacteria is telling you you're hungry, so you're listening to it, and then from there we're taking that up into word format. Now rationality, you get into like symbology and language, which is why language models are like able to like synthesize like smartness, I guess.
So is our craving just our prompt or whatever we've programmed this thing to pursue?
So you get into more of a signal. So it's more like genetic fuzzy, like explainable AI, where I can explain why it made the decision. That's why I like that. One, it's like really deterministic. I can understand why it made the outcome. And then two, it's using signals. And those signals is much similar to like the signals that my biochemistry is working to send me. And then from there, reacting from. So I believe an AGI or superintelligence, which is what we're working towards, is a hybrid approach. So I believe, this is belief, not knowing.
Okay.
But I can explain where a lot of the neural nets are so complex, you can't understand why it made the decision it made. I believe symbolically and through layered hybrid structures, you can actually explain them. Now, you will not hear any of the major labs state what I just said. They're saying it's unexplainable. They're saying they're circuits. Because I believe
what's their best argument, I guess?
I think it's the same one I have, which is just too much compute.
Okay.
So you have to do effectively an AI model is compressing everything into a smaller space. Some of these models like GPT or whatever, you're getting like 100 gig, 160 gig for the entire internet you're compressing. So what I'm talking about is an expansion, and that expansion takes a tremendous amount of memory, and now you have more processing to work through that. So a deep, deep, deep uncompression into a symbolic nature, and then from there you're able to look at it in a completely different way, compositionally.
It's not unlike a human instinct.
Not unlike
Like what we take as 1,000 inputs, and we're just like, I like this guy.
Yeah.
John came into my house and shook my hand and said, "Oh, cool plants," or whatever you said, right? And, oh, I like this guy. He's just whatever. All the instincts said, safe, likable, savvy business guy, right? And it's an easy instinct. Let your guard down. Like all that happened. It took all these, trained for 48 years or whatever to discern all these instincts and boiled it down to okay, let's chill. But if I were to explain all of that, it would take a lifetime. Right? Like all the reflections I have about how you look like this uncle of mine from childhood or whatever.
Mr. Fester, I think his name is.
No. He was a little better looking than Fester, but yeah. But yeah, I would have to explore, essentially all of my inner psyche to explain that instinct, right? So yeah,
So I look at that as like a pathway. You're searching a pathway space in your brain. So light will come in, hit your eyeball, and then from there it starts this pattern of like refraction. It's like working through almost like a search algorithm, hits your prefrontal cortex, goes around your cortex, which is the outer wall of your brain, across your corpus callosum, which would be between your left and right hemisphere, back into your visual cortex. That's like probably like 25 more regions that I'm not saying are being activated. And then boom, you're just appearing in front of me, which is like crazy how that works. Now, the idea that that's a mechanism that's occurring, all these different little things are happening in order for that to fulfill, is what they call mechanistic interpretability. So we're using fMRIs and we're trying to read people's brains and we're hooking up. That's very, very complex. Now, I would say you're getting into almost like spiritualism, and that's where you get like consciousness and spiritualism and all this kind of stuff kind of start feeding into this, and it isn't the machine, and are we building this like Frankenstein? That is all stuff that no one has the answer for, except we just kind of know based on how it like we work with it. But I think there's ways to like get more clarity into the mechanisms, because it works more like an Excel sheet than people realize. If you stack those layers of pizza boxes, you're kind of stacking worksheets.
Okay.
Just think of 10,000 worksheets working simultaneously with macros going everywhere. That's very tough to track. Like, okay, it touched 400 million things. What is the one thing that made it say this? Well, nothing. All of it did. So if that's a path that exists, then that to me looks like a tapestry.
Okay.
Only lots of tapestries. So I take the parts that it used to get there, which there's super connectors that exist in this structure. And you can sort of say, the reason why it did is I can produce the tapestry that made it actually say that. So the picture becomes worth the 1,000 words, if that makes sense. And that's how symbolic can work with neural, and then you add in fuzzy to get like precision, and you're sort of looking at something that can give you like a more holistic view. Now, the amount of compute you need, like for one instance of ChatGPT, you need like 2 or 3 racks, maybe 4 to cover that one instance. So it costs more to understand how it's working.
To explain it's
That's why I think they don't do it. They're trying to find a more simple way than what I
like, why did you react like that? Well, let's explore your whole childhood or whatever, right? Like, so, but you're optimistic. I don't understand the hybrid approach to explainability. What's it hybrid of?
Well, you're basically filtering like water, like pipes. So you're going to have this big, like massive model, which is like a big, huge, where we're going to send all the water through.
Okay.
And then when you get out to where like it's actually being used by a person, you have a faucet with a handle that they look, and it's been handcrafted, and the water comes out very specifically. It fills up a glass only this high.
Okay.
And it's this temperature, and it has these qualities, and it's moving in this direction. Like all that's controlled. So the big models I look at as like the big kind of outputs. And then from there, you can kind of like work your way down into like this machine goes right.
I see. Okay. So it's a hybrid between the big functions and the discrete, precise functions?
Yes. I mean, think about how we got to where we are now. This is kind of jumping to, I jump as well.
That's okay. I'll tell you when I lose you. I will lose you, but I'll tell you.
What is information? Like, what is it? And like, how is it stored? So you have like the sun shooting energy at the earth, which is entropy, which then kind of like mixes like a chemist would. And then you get biology, and then biology grows and you have layers that exist. And then you end up with like things like water, which is like a really weird substrate. You can like float in it. You can't breathe in it, but it's made of mostly oxygen, like all this weird stuff. So then water is like flowing down a stream, which is energy, just like going.
Movement.
We create like a dam. The water flows down the dam, hits a turbine, turns the turbine. We convert and transform that into electricity, which then has like chaos. We send it over a line with some focus. So we've changed water into electricity, send it over a line to your house that powers a machine, which hooks into another line, which works on the internet.
Yeah.
So all this is powered off of like water and sun and like, fossil fuels and so forth, or turning things into...
At the end of the day, it's all light and gravity, right?
And then we just store it as another form of electron in a more stable fashion. So you're just taking massive chaos and you're filtering it down almost through synthetic processes all the way till we get it stabilized. Now we're taking all that stabilized and we're transforming it into something that feels more like a dynamic system that's like controlled. So like the information is the water originally is just transformed all the way over, which when you think about it that way, you're kind of like could a digital system be like a life form or something like that? Like potentially it could have those types of qualities, but instead of a bird like rotating around a flower and like picking food and stuff, it's really like a plane brute forcing taking 500 people over to Europe very quickly with like lots of, but it's probably not as efficient. It can't like stop on a dime and like smell and do all the other things. It has like a little bit more of that like mechanicalness to it. That's you get the same kind of properties out of these AI.
But it's all organized energy.
All organized energy.
Yeah.
We're just reorganizing energy.
Yeah. We're observing and applying these observations and these intents to it. Interesting.
It's a weird way to. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. I could go 1,000 directions on that. I want to make sure we don't miss the opportunity to talk about Nexigen. What do you guys do? Back to what you do.
So we do. We have around 85 people. We have, help desk services where we support 2,000 plus customers over our history, 22 years, across the United States and globally, and we do everything from like putting agent. We started off. It's so weird. We started off as a competitor to VMware. Okay. Which is the idea we said back in 1999 at Best Buy, sitting on a tech bench next to my business partner. By the way, I got my GED. I dropped out of high school to play professional volleyball.
It sounds like you educated yourself along the way, nonetheless.
I did. My dad's master, double masters. My mom is as well. My brother's as well. I'm like the.
It's funny. It's funny that you're self-educated and yet have this affinity for universities too. That usually it builds some contempt or something, but
I go to PhD classes now for fun, and I get to audit them and then take them and stuff. But you
made a great observation about universities I hadn't thought about. When you just think about them in this very utilitarian way, you miss kind of their greatest output, which is the research. But
it's great. Yeah, their research department, tier 1 research facilities are amazing. But
anyway, go on.
So GAJ, my business partner, computer engineer, full stack computer engineer, full stack legal, full stack finance, full stack pilot, whatever. He's just a very smart guy. We were sitting at Best Buy trying to figure out how to make more efficiency out of processors because we saw it being so wasted. Like you have a processor on a server or a desktop and people only use like 1% of it. Yeah. So we're like, man, if you could put more operating systems on the same piece of hardware, then you could increase the amount of resources you could make that processor go like and use it 80% or 85%. Yeah. Then at the end of the day, he said, whoever has the most processors win. So he said 1999, we're sitting at Best Buy, and he's like, whoever has the most processors at the end of the day wins. And we were like, okay, let's build a company that works on virtualization, which is basically an abstraction layer between the hardware.
Just driving compute through one.
So we just added more operating systems onto our VMware competitor back in 2002-3 when we started, which is a not services business. And then we had it's in a tattoo parlor now in Ludlow. We had, I remember my father-in-law's basement, we had like 20 Pentium 4 Intel processor desktops running as our server environment. And then we did what's called utility computing pre-cloud.
Interesting.
We think it was one of the first clouds in Cincinnati. And then we had a great website, and like GE called us and is like, "What
Really?
are you guys doing?" Because VMware raised $250 million.
Yeah.
We had $500
Just a
in
couple
each.
of kids from
Yeah.
Best Buy doing it in the
And they're
basement.
like, "Can we come see what you got?" And we're like, "Sure." And we show them what we had, and they're like, "You are nowhere ready to talk to us."
I see.
However, you do seem like you know what you're talking about. Can you come support me, my business system, and sell me a server, sell me a backup, and that's how we began. Like we literally had a couple customers we were renting, and they were just paying for memory, CPU. A couple were there, and they're still our customers. And then other ones are just net new ones that were like, "Hey, I know I'm not going to put my data in your now it's a tattoo parlor,
Right?
but you can sell me all this stuff." So then from there, just kind of like organic growth.
And a bunch of pivots along the way, right?
We just met people, a bunch of pivots. Listen to your customers. Like we hosted 10,000 websites. When you're hosting websites in like 2003 and 4, you're getting hacked. Like or people are trying to hack you nonstop because these websites are like publicly exposed. So we're some of the first certified ethical hackers in the country. I mean, we just learned because you had to. Now, if something comes out and it's a danger to all of our customers and ourselves. So we take care and take care of it ourselves. That's where research comes into our company because we're exploring that 5 years out. Then that information feeds back into our practices, informs our practices, and then we deliver that information to our customers. So our customers know we're just always going to be ahead. Typically, our competitors are typically years behind us. In fact, we don't even make sense to our competitors a lot of times. Why are you exploring whatever you're exploring? I've been heard this. People walked up to me like, "What the hell are you doing?" Because I created a smart city company back in like 15. I was like, "Well, you're going to have like AI models, which are going to like take over, and they need eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. So we're just going to put them on city streets and have it ready." And they're like, "That's so dumb." And I'm like, "We have 1,200 of them around the country now, and Disney World everywhere."
Wow.
So that's another company. That's where Nate works on.
Yeah. Rove, right?
Yeah, Rove IQ.
Have you ever been too early?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Where you explored an idea and you were right, but you were 5 years too early, so it was a waste.
All the time. Yeah. We had a carbon fiber manufacturer we put money into that failed. We had a noise sensor for in office where you build basically took the concept of eyes, ears, nose, and mouth and was like, let's put it in the office. And then that way, if people struggle in office work, like the environment isn't conducive to their learning patterns, then why? Here's the data.
You can identify
and let's
some
take
causes.
people that actually like to be in similar environments and place them near each other. So you have teams that are around each other based on like similar conditions that they want to be in. That's more conducive. And then you kind of figure out patterns like, okay, maybe these people mixed together is actually a good thing, right? Optimally. So we were basically putting sensors at the edge, and we were working with furniture companies that sell to but we were way too early. They were like, "What are you talking about?" So that was back in like 2014.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What, dude? How did you? What wound you up? You know what I mean? Like you got your head in a lot of different things. You're a good thinker, and you found some very productive, marketable outputs for your, I think your tendency to brainstorm and think creatively and think ahead. What got you wound up that direction?
I thought about this as well. My dad's, I was not good in school. My dad he had me into Star Trek when I was young, and he's a big nerd. And he's always
love the
tinkering
Next
on stuff.
Generation.
Yeah. Next Generation. I mean, I grew up on that first originals in the Next Generation. And it got me just curious about exploration. Carl Sagan I'm a big fan of his. And then my dad had the USA Today. So every day when the USA Today would get there, I would read it first thing in the morning, the entire friggin' thing. And then I would read books that would be interesting in those same topics that I became interested in there. And I developed the habit of like doing 40 minutes of reading every morning.
So just a natural curiosity. It was early, and your dad fed it.
Dad fed it.
Yeah.
And then he was like crying when I'm like dropping out of high school. He's like, "You're gonna fail in life." He worked for me and retired and lives like 2-3 miles from me now. You know? And
it worked out.
It worked out. But he's like,
you got to see all of his anxieties relieved, right?
They're still there. They're still there. But he was like, if you can ever figure out how to focus your energy, you'll do well. But he's like, but right now it's just everywhere. So I did a 120-mile bike ride on Saturday.
Did you really?
Rode this from Cincinnati to Maysville, Kentucky, and back. To get it, that took me. This was like 8 hours, 6 hours of riding. to get focus and clarity.
Yeah, you're disciplining your ability to stay on one thing.
I'm a major ADHD guy, so I'll do this morning hour of sauna, cold plunge protocol before I came here to get dialed in and get clarity, emptiness, I would call it, and then you can start really like making good decisions and then journaling and stuff like that.
That's the appeal to Buddhism, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, this podcast actually is a good exercise for me. When I watched my first couple of episodes, I talked over everybody, and I wanted to smack myself in the face. So I'm looking at my image. I'm like, shut up. Your voice isn't as appealing as you think, right? Your thoughts aren't as deep as you think. And I saw myself talking over smarter people, and I'm like, oh, man, what are you doing? So I've gotten better. I don't think I've perfected it, but I've gotten better at shutting up. And instead of kind of, you've been very gracious about it because I think I've run through your thoughts a lot. But
no, you're good.
I can tell you handle distractions well. But it's been a good discipline for me to have to sit here, listen thoroughly, let a thought fully mature, and then find the pause before I interrupt, because it's so natural for me. My ADHD habits have me interrupting like crazy.
The space between you and what will be is the place for you to have choice. And then from there, you can choose to like kind of like that pause is like very powerful. I agree.
What, say that again?
It's like the space. I don't know if I said it correctly, but it's the way I interpret it.
Okay.
Was you have this like you're like observing, and then or everyone is, and then there is the doing of, and the space between those two things is where the power of choice comes into place.
Yeah, interesting. I've never given focus to choice like that. That's an interesting perspective.
It's just like because we're like you're it's like not reacting. You're choosing not to react. You're choosing to just live in the space. And I've just read a book called Nonviolent Communication, which I would say on the leadership side is very helpful.
Okay.
But that is really like tying into that, like what's alive inside of me, what's alive inside of them, and then being inquisitive about what's alive inside of them, and then trying to find that empathy or compassion.
Nonviolent communication, is that
yes,
what you said?
Nonviolent communication.
Can I add that to my Audible real quick before I lose it?
Small book and incredibly powerful.
I mostly listen to books these days.
Same here. I listened to it twice just recently. But the Nexigen is just to kind of keep rambling. Nexigen is really like about the idea is what we found is when we've interacted with like more and more vendors, it gets more and more complex, and when we use more and more tools, it gets more and more complex.
True.
So when we add a tool, which is like what Gartner wants you to do, hype cycle, everybody's saying, hey, you need to do the next thing. You're adding more complexity to your environment, and you're literally putting stress on your people. You're making them more uncoordinated. I believe in samurai. You become experts in what you're experts in. And if you're going to shift, that's going to take time to become experts in that shift. And that takes patience in the leadership side. So I'm very impatient, but I have learned to like forget that I'm impatient, right? And just like let it happen. But we're functionalists. So companies that use us, like staffing would be like they hire a full-time person. When they hire us, we're taking on a specific responsibility. So we have a lot of depth in our responsibility, and then we have layers to that. We have different things. Those coordinate together. Some people like those things, in enterprise specifically, they like those things to be completely separate. The benefit for like mid-market or smaller businesses, and enterprise as well we work with, is that when they call in to like get a problem solved, we can route them without leaving our four walls, and everybody works really together in our facility. So you're getting expert level advice from the right individual very quickly on routing, and then you don't have this, which is finger pointing between cross vendors. It's very much a smoother experience. We typically have around 100% on our metrics for surveys and so forth. So that's across cybersecurity. I mean, we've got a 24/7 security operations center, a 24/7 network operations center, a 24/7 help desk. We've got pen testers. We've got a forensic closet. We've got cloud capabilities, delivery solutions. We've got DevOps people. We've got AI. We've got all that in the same house, which is much more like an Amazon if you think about it. But people will say, well, they just do too much. And it's like, whoa, we will not take on a tool. Like I talk about AI all the time. I'm exploring tools. We only use very few, like very, very few. Like if it gets rolled out to our team, it's been vetted by everybody, and we do trainings, and it's a really like robust process, and it's slow to go fast. Although on the perimeter, on the outside, we're exploring everywhere at all times.
Slow to go fast was a slogan I heard in the Army when taking your weapon apart to clean it. Slow is fast. I remember this guy taught me. You lose a cotter pin because you're in a hurry. All of a sudden, you're done. Right? Digging in the dirt for a pin that's an inch long is not very fast at all.
That's so powerful and is so applicable to what's happening today with AI and so forth. It's one of the reasons I created Enterprise Technology Association with Zach Hune and our CEO, Summer Crenshaw, was we realized that there was so much change in 2022 November. I realized, like, I spent 40 hours with ChatGPT the week it came out. I've met the individuals that created the transformer technology.
Oh, really?
And people that have worked on the double descent and a couple other like major breakthroughs. I realized that I was learning very quickly, and I was putting almost full attention in this direction because I realized that's where everything was going. And the community at large in Cincinnati was just going to get dominated by East and West Coast activity because money concentration is in Boston and Silicon Valley. And we needed to like pipe up, and not just Cincinnati, like we could do it across Midwest. So we created Cincinnati AI Week in 5 weeks from idea to execution. 1,600 people came.
Yeah.
No charge to anyone. For
I know tickets. A ton of people that go. Actually, I've never come. So how often, tell me a little bit about the programming.
So the idea was it's a little different. So the original concept was based on a few factors. One is if you're a vendor and you're in an ecosystem and you want to get into that ecosystem, one, right off the bat, there's a major fee. And if you want voice or share a voice, it doesn't matter how much expertise you have. It matters how much you're willing to spend to get that share of voice, which to me is not, it's ridiculous. I don't want to listen to someone who spent 40 grand. I want to listen to someone who's got the wisdom.
Right.
So one, we wanted to make sure it was like about that. And we wanted to go bigger and mix more groups together because everybody likes it like, I just want my healthcare group and we only talk about healthcare. And like, okay, we only want a government group and we only talk about, they want to like, we want to like compartmentalize. And we were like, no, we want all that together because there's so many things you can learn from the different areas and disciplines because AI is like attaching to all that.
It's the lack of focus. That's where creativity comes from. It's the erratic change of subjects and whatever. That's where creativity.
So we had 100 and
like mixing shoes and kites is, you know, when you put two seemingly unrelated things together, that's when you're like, aha, right?
It's combinatory. They call and then the space that happens between. So we flew in a guy. Well, one of my friends is Dinesh Maharaji. He's the CTO at Grok, GROQ.
Okay.
GROQ is a processor that's faster than NVIDIA.
Oh, interesting.
So it's a multi-billion-dollar valuation. The guy built the Google TPU, and then he started Grok, and they're doing. I mean, Dinesh is like your cell phone. Dinesh's like inventions are in your cell phone. Like,
okay,
for
interesting.
Your entire life, he's just brilliant. So he came in, he spoke. No one understood him, but like we had just all sorts of people. And now he actually spends a lot of time in Cincinnati now. And
does he?
From Palo Alto. He's actually
make an intro. I'll get him on the show.
Oh, now if you get him on the show, you need about 4 hours.
Okay. I feel like I could sit here with you for 4 more hours. Hey, John, I've given up like 3 subjects I wanted to go deep in just for the sake of time. But anyway.
Well, we just like really went 125, 130 speakers. Maybe 140 in 5 weeks.
Wow.
With the agenda. And then what we did is we
just because it was the right time. Everybody wanted to be talking. Everybody wanted to be in that conversation.
It was right? we outperformed Seattle by double.
Wow.
Seattle AI Week got 700. We had over 1,400.
That's crazy.
So we outperformed the whole country. Cincinnati then, and if you looked at ChatGPT and where we're ranked at, that actually helped Cincinnati actually get on the map in the AI systems. We had over 1 million mentions in LinkedIn.
Well done, man.
So it was really
That's
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. But we gave away the tickets free.
Yeah.
So no, it was definitely a risk because this.
How'd you operate that thing then if you weren't selling tickets?
We had some sponsors and we lost money.
Yeah, okay.
And then, and
you sound like a university.
Yeah. Then we went to Atlanta, Nashville, and Columbus, and now we're doing Great Lakes. Jobs Ohio's come on board 5th Third.
Okay.
We have all these big names now. It's great for Nexigen because. Wow, my name's right next to.
Good for connections.
I mean, I'm one of the sponsors too. And Scripps, Carrie Oslin over Scripps was very helpful down in Atlanta. But the idea was create these community and find these strong players and then activate them across their own ecosystems. That way we're just not buying like Sam Altman's version of this, right? We have like local players that can do things. And I make a claim, which you can say it's like people would say maybe it's wrong. There's probably over $50 million of economic activity that came out of that event. So much deal making. I've had so many quotes that came in like best networking event I was at because it's just total space. And we didn't take up any of the voice. Like Zach Summer and I, we're on stage like once each, like very chill. Like everybody got voice. Second year, over 2,000 people in Cincy.
Wow. It was generous of you, and I hope it's paid off because
It's
I mean, if you did all of that for that broader community, I really hope that it returns some reward for you guys too. That's impressive.
Attention brings good and negative.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. It's true. But it is attention and compute, I guess, are the new currencies, right?
Token edge.
So as we kind of wrap up for the sake of time, any other subjects we want to hit? And I don't know that we hit the whole list. Any other mentions that are of interest to you?
Well, we have a bunch of other companies, like Pay Options is a company I'm with, and CyberPay, and we're making acquisitions. We just bought buildings, all this kind of stuff, like business-wise. Grounding-wise, Humanity, we do homeless every Tuesday night. I coach Special Olympics every Friday night.
Oh, do you?
When I say do homeless, we prepare 300 bags a week at my family.
Okay.
And then we give them out every Tuesday night.
Every week you do that, huh?
Third and Vine.
Wow.
Rain, snow, whatever.
Your family does that?
My family does this.
Okay.
So Crossroads Church ships food to my house.
Okay.
So does Seven Hills.
How many hands you got involved in that? You said your family. Are there anybody else helping?
Well, we're actually participants. Somebody named Missy set this all up.
So there's a bunch of other hands that are involved in it too, huh?
And it's just a group of friends, no nonprofit.
Yeah.
They just get together every Tuesday, 6:45, Third and Vine. Now, okay, I just want to mention those. I'm a board member on CAIC, which is a Cincinnati AI Catalyst. Carl Frake runs that. He's out of P&G Ventures, and now he's retired, but he's doing trying to activate this like Cincinnati focus. And we have groups like that in each place we go to around the country, and they stay in that local area. So then their focus is that area, and we're kind of like bridging everybody together.
You're finding your local sponsor essentially, or your local lead.
But the thing that I think is most important, which I probably didn't leave myself enough time to talk about this, but is the idea of our ability to simulate potentialities is our ability to research synthetically. So the amount of GPUs, graphics processing units, or AI processors that we have available in our region actually determines our ability to perform bleeding edge research.
The limiter is going to be power?
So power is typically done through local generation. So people were like, where are all these gigawatts coming from? They're not coming from the grid. You actually locally produce them with methane. Highly compressed methane to structures in series, and they'll have 40 megawatts per section, and they'll go all the way up to 1-2 gigawatts of power out of this local generation. They're not relying on grid. So you can actually transplant. Now, this is a Band-Aid type solution. It's sort of like go slow to go fast. So if we're doing that to like ramp up ahead of China, which has more power production, we're using a cheat code to do that. So we're going to have these highly compressed methanes. Obviously, if you can invest in methane, it should go up because that's where power production is going to be. But long term, you actually need distribution. You need substations. You need more hydro. You need more solar. And you could potentially have collaboratives where we have energy capability and consumption that's existing today. If we actually took a portion of our community in Cincinnati and said, hey, we're going to go off grid and like allow that to be on grid and focus that, then we could control our own real estate, have our own GPUs, have more share of voice globally, and give our own research facilities GPUs.
What's your confidence or your view? How optimistic are you about our ability to improve the power to processing power variable?
So the amount of compute, that's a great question. So the amount of compute it takes to run very large models like Sora 2 just came out, video generation, and VO3, which came out in video generation, take incredible compute power. ChatGPT, actually, I can run that on my MacBook Pro.
Okay.
The OSS 70B, I think it is. That can run locally, which is pretty much like ChatGPT 4.0 performance. Okay. So that's already happened, and they do that through what's called SMOE, which is a specialized mixture of experts, because ChatGPT is not one model, it's hundreds of models that are put together. It just feels like one in the prompt, it's routing you. Having said that, you only have to activate so many billions of parameters. So if it's a 120 billion parameter model and you use SMOE, then you only are activating like 7 billion on the route structure.
And
you don't need all
less
of it.
compute.
So then you're once they get that down to where you only need like liquid AI out of MIT, they have 500 million parameter models that perform like 20 billion parameter models.
So we can attack our power problem on both fronts, use less compute and produce and distribute more power.
That's correct, but you have to run the simulations to do the exploration, which takes a lot of GPUs. So you're saying, okay, well, we'll just use Google's or whatever. Well, I mean, if you've looked, cloud computing is like 50% more expensive than having your own infrastructure. You get the convenience of them like white gloving it to a degree and taking care of a lot of things for you, but it's heavily expensive. And research usually need raw compute. So our researchers are starved for compute in this greater Cincinnati area because we don't have the budget to go run $20 million compute runs for fun unless somebody in the region decides to put $1 billion fund together to just go. But then if you're just using someone else's compute, it's not actually an appreciating asset or a valuable asset for the region. So if we built a structure, concentrated power in an area, put the compute inside, gave access to some of our researchers, treated it like a real estate model where you tenant it out. Like these people pay for this.
Let's build that fund, man. Let's build that tranche. I love that idea.
I am super into this. I would love to preach that all day long.
Okay. I'll help market that idea. I love it.
We all benefit.
Well, hey, we've got to wrap it up for the sake of time. Last question. I kind of like to end with this. What's what's your big ambition for the next 2 years? What's the obstacle you're going to run into and what are you going to do about it? It's a 3-part question, but I bet you got enough compute to address it in one swipe.
What I just talked about is my if I could help the community in any way I could, to sort of it doesn't need to be me doing that, but like create energy around that topic is big for me. And then personally, I want to ride my bike across North America.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Coast to coast?
Coast to coast. California to the southern route. That's California to St. Augustine, San Diego to St. Augustine. It's 3,800 miles. It would take about 42 days, and I want to work during that period.
I'll meet you in San Diego for the send-off. That's my hometown. I've got family out there. That's ambitious, man. I like it.
But the hurdles.
What's going to keep you from doing it?
My kids, being with them, my desire to be with them as much as possible.
And how are you going to get past that problem?
I'm going to fly them to me along the way.
Now we're talking, man. Jon, thanks for being on the show. I appreciate you. It's been fun.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks.